Elroy.
I is trying to live stream on YouTube to see whether does it work.
Hello.
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 Hi, hi. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm trying the YouTube. I look a bit weird. On the YouTube, there's a lag time. Oh, you see now then I see the wave. I've been waving for like 10 seconds ago, 15
Morning,
seconds.
Elroy. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
On YouTube.
Morning.
Morning. Okay, at least now we know YouTube works. Then we'll be back 10 minutes later. I just come in early to test only. Okay. Morning, everybody. You guys are the early bird.
Good morning.
But sorry, I don't have worms for you. Oh, Shadan, everyday new attire.
Yep.
Wow, nice. You got how many blazer at home?
Again?
Sharon got how many blazer at home?
Oh, Shadan.
I got 4.
Wow, just nice Friday dress down.
Yeah. I got 4.
Wow, just nice Friday dress down.
Yeah.
Wait,
That from the YouTube.
on the YouTube live stream, I only can see 9 faces.
Just nice Friday dress down. That from the YouTube.
Okay. Oh, I know already. The YouTube, I only can see those that are on the camera. Interesting. Oh, I know already. The YouTube, I only can see those that are on the camera. Interesting. Yes, you guys are famous on YouTube now.
Hi, everybody.
You guys are famous on YouTube now.
Hello.
Morning. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Morning.
It feels so weird. Okay, I better lower my YouTube volume. Okay. Is Jeremy on?
Happy grad. Oops.
Let's wait a while more. I think the rest are coming in soon. What?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Everybody. Hello.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning, James.
Hi. Thank you so much for your time, James.
Yes, thank you, James.
Hi, good morning,
Morning,
guys.
James.
Okay,
Morning,
so,
James.
James, so this is the team.
Morning, James.
Yeah,
Yes.
morning, James.
Sorry, just give me another one.
Morning,
Okay.
James.
Morning, all.
So I just do a short brief, okay. So guys, okay, so today we have James, okay, with us, okay. I'm sure all of you know who is James, okay. So but we all wonder about the story, right? Okay, so the founder of Sales Group Asia, okay. So without James, I don't think all of us would be here together as well. Okay, so how he actually started off, okay, in UK. Okay, and then we move on to Asia, started off in Kuala Lumpur itself, okay, being on the field. Okay, so this is what we want to hear, okay, and how he actually expanded to 9 countries, okay, with India being the latest addition to the list. Okay, and then his love and passion, okay, for his business, okay. He's the first person I know that bought a helicopter and owns a helicopter business. Okay, so that's very inspirational as well. Okay, and we'd like to hear a lot more from his journey, and very excited. So thank you, James, okay, so much for taking your time out, and very grateful for that, okay, to spend the time to share. Okay, Ken?
No problem. Thank you very much, Need. Hey, everybody. How many people have we got on the call?
The max is that we have some. It's probably 120.
Right. Okay. Okay. Great. So we've got about half an hour straight away now. Then we've got to do a quick break for a quick Singapore update call on the enterprise program, and then we'll come back again. So we're expecting this to go 11:30 to 12, and then again at about 12:15 or 12:20, and then we'll kick it off again. Great. Okay. Look, I hope everybody's well. I'm just about to try and get my video on. Sorry, I've just had to come off some other calls, so it's been going a bit back to back. So just let me get my, at least my video working. I hope everybody's well. I know it's been, it's obviously been, you know, a fairly stressful period of time for, I think everybody. You know, a lot of you have probably heard me talking already on some other call, whether it's a Singapore call or hang on, here we go. Here we go. Let me get all sorted up. There you go. Join with video. Okay, I'm going to switch off my phone. Hey everybody, I'm excited. I've had a haircut.
Awesome.
It's a great
Nice.
If you've seen me in the last 7 or 8 weeks, it's been pretty horrendous. So I think I've just lost a kilo this morning, so I'm very excited. A kilo of hair. So a lot of you obviously know that Malaysia has started to open up, although we're all very confused as to how it's opening up, and no one seems to know exactly how it's working yet. So we've gone from everybody staying at home to now not quite sure of what's going on. We're not able to go back in the field in Malaysia for the time being. It's just outside, mate. Just introduce yourself. So we're not allowed back in the field, at least for the time being, here in Malaysia. So we're obviously waiting to see what happens over the next few days to see if we can get any more information about our lockdown. We keep getting mixed messages from Singapore as well. I don't know if you've seen something similar, that we've been told that we're out of the field now, guaranteed until the 4th of June, but there is apparently some level of relaxation that might be coming up as well. So all of this, however, we're assuming, like Malaysia, we're assuming that we'll probably be the last, or in the last batch of people that will be allowed to normalize. So specifically on the Malaysian rules, we've been told that it's, you know, face-to-face marketing or any outside of premise sales activity is not going to be allowed. So it's not, that's not particularly bad news. The good thing about that from last Friday is when the news came out in Malaysia that we were going to be returning to some new level of normal, it basically spurred us into action to make sure that we've got masks ready and available in all cities. We were thinking about getting thermometers sorted out in the next week or so. We're now doing that right now. So we're making sure that we've got thermometers, digital thermometers available for every test, for every site that we're going to work. So that's probably in excess of a few hundred that we need to get hold of. So we've been spurred into some more immediate action to make sure that we're ready to deal with it back to work a little bit quicker. And we're also obviously looking at the same things for down in Singapore. So from that point of view, it's been quite good. Who of all the people on the call today, I imagine a lot of people have heard me talking before, right? I would say so. A lot of people nodding. You've been on a call with me already? Yes. Okay. So I've been asked today to talk about what's going to, what's going to be, what I love about our business and what are we looking forward to when we're coming out the other side. I'm honestly in a situation where I am about as excited, I think, as I've been for quite some time about the opportunities that this has presented us with. And I'm going to go back to, again, if you've been on a call with me, you've heard about Korea and how Korea has developed. But we're now in a position where we did 414 sales in Korea on Thursday last week. We did I think we did high 300s or 400s again yesterday. And considering Korea pre-COVID was doing about 500 or 550 sales a day, we are really very quickly returning to normality up there, albeit with face masks and hand sanitizers and and a different kind of booth setup than we're normally used to. The guys are, as I've explained quite a few times, the guys are working harder than they would normally do. They're taking slightly shorter breaks. They're getting to their sites earlier. They've got to do more setup work when they get there. They've got to take photographs, every couple of hours to sort of demonstrate that the site is still, compliant with all of the new rules that we've got. And with all of that in place, we're still managing to get back, or we're still getting close to the sales averages that we had before we broke up. And that obviously is exciting from the point of view of, if you've heard me talk about the triple bump. You know, the first part of the bump is, you know, we go out in the field, we work harder than we normally do. We sort of raise our own standards, we shorten our breaks, you know, we put more effort into a day. And on top of that, the second part is that we've recruited an average of about between 15 and 30 people a week over the course of the last probably 4 weeks. And our retention is very good so far. So we're growing up, you know, that's now we're passing the 250 mark, and we should be growing back to 300 and 300 plus through the month of May. So we don't have a picture yet of the quality of guys that we're recruiting, but we know that the quantity is good. And from just pure data, we can see that the quality is good because our new guys are getting promoted to leadership. We did 13 leadership promotions last week. So for a lot of the guys that started in weekend in the 9th, so 13 of those guys got promoted within, it says within 3 weeks. In Korea, it's actually 2.5 weeks. So that's a really, really good sign. And we're seeing that a lot of those new guys are doing consistently good sales as well. So there's lots of very, very big positives to be able to take away from that. Last Monday, we were talking about, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about de-restricting the office and letting anything up to around about 8 people come into the office each morning, especially if you're a new guy or you're a leader looking after a new guy. Last Monday, we got requests to expand that to 12, 13, 14 people. And I was concerned about that. And I've shared this a few times on the phone last week, because what I really want to make sure happens is that we take full advantage of what we've just learned, which is that we can run a successful sales team on a Zoom call. And we've never thought we could do that before, but we managed to mobilize, hundreds of Koreans back into the field, running a Zoom call every morning with education, a sales impact, a thought for the day, like a topic for the day, recognition for the guys that high rolled the previous day, welcoming new people on board. We managed to do all of that via an online communication. So guys logging on at home or even on the way to the sites, basically listening to all the information that they need for the day, a feeling of community. Of course, nowhere near as good as everybody standing together in a room. It is, but like anything, I'm a guy that constantly looks at percentages. And while the optimum environment for a sales team is for everybody to stand together in a room, which we've been doing for the last 20 years, if we lose something, if we lose a little bit of the effect, maybe 20 or 25% of the positive effect of all standing together in a room, in some way, it may be relationships, it may be a feeling of camaraderie, it may be just that feeling of being able to see an atmosphere of people all stood together in a room. We will absolutely lose something by not being able to do that. But on the other side, again, I'm a guy that looks at percentage gain, percentage loss. If our percentage gains are so high, that we're able to get guys directly from home, feeling like they've basically connected with everybody, but not as good as being face-to-face, but still good. Guys can then go straight to the field, can then basically take a lot more time out of their day rather than going into work, into an office and then out to the field, cutting down the amount of time, making us more efficient and still being able to retain a level of community. Even though it's not quite as good, the positive effects may well outweigh the negative effects. And that's what we're always looking at, percentage gain and percentage loss. So the reality for us in Singapore and Malaysia is we are not going to have more than 10 people in a room for a very long time, at least the next 3 or 4 months. So that is going to be an absolute reality for us anyway. My concern in Korea was that we were actually getting back to normal too quickly. So I did not want us to go back to just having 30 or 40 people in a room because it was the easiest thing to do. At the moment, the guys in Korea, the owners, are running a Zoom call for the guys that are going straight out, and then running a separate meeting for the guys that are coming in and picking up new people. So it's twice the work basically every morning. The owners are running 2 lots of meetings every day, but that's part of my whole triple bump conversation, which is let's be prepared to work harder so that we can adapt to changes, so that we can figure out whether or not we can do our business in a completely new and a completely innovative way. The reason that this gets so exciting from a logistics and management point of view is that it starts to really change the dynamic, a little bit, not so much in Singapore, a little bit in Malaysia, but when we start to look at places like Indonesia, and the Philippines, with a combination of the fact that Indonesia is now, we've removed all paper from Indonesia. So even though it's one of our lower currency markets, we've made a very large decision to basically cut our head office down, to make it literally just a handful of senior people, and then to basically put everything into the cloud, so that every single sale that we do in Indonesia goes straight into a server as soon as it's completed. Yeah, and the guys are all armed with tablets or iPads or whatever devices that they need. When you then combine that with our ability to be able to run a sales meeting via Zoom, and then potentially even in Korea, we're now starting to recruit online and train online. Yeah, we start to look at opportunities being way, way, way more wide open than they were before. The idea of being able to deploy guys into Medan, Surabaya, Yogyakarta, Bali, Makassar, almost, without any infrastructure cost, without having to do bricks and mortar, but just simply to be able to run almost remote virtual teams. The amount of money that we would then be able to make running those businesses is amazing, because we would have none of the normal infrastructure costs that we normally put together. And therefore we've got way more investable money to be able to put back into guys and the system. And that gives us all sorts of, huge opportunities to be able to, huge avenues to think about new opportunities for the business as we start to roll out into much bigger markets, like Indonesia. And obviously, it also changes the dynamic of, do we really need as many buildings as we've already had in the past? Can we figure out a way of being able to office share and utilize space better? Again, lots and lots of great new questions that are being presented to us at the moment. Like I said on a call recently, it's very often that situations like this that force changes. Sometimes I wish we were a little bit braver. And we were happy to make major changes. I used two things the other day about the branch out system and about 8 hours down to 6 hours. Both of those were things that were forced on us in Singapore. Yeah, I mean, one was definitely forced on us because of shift work, and the other one was forced on us over a period of time because we just kept going around in a big circle, right? With guys cannibalizing their own offices when they got promoted out. So because we were forced into them, we applied them, and we were amazed, at the results. And in this particular instance, we're looking at, this situation, in some cases forcing us into, but also highlighting the opportunities that are available to us. And we're then able to say, hey, we're not just going to go back to the way that we did it before. We're going to absolutely take advantage and see how we can do it better. Yeah, and also just give a guy a chance to possibly, be out of the house less, to make the same amount of money and to get, just as much motivation and opportunity as you did before. And at the end of the day, if you can do what you do in 7 hours instead of being out of the house for 10 or 11, then obviously that's a very, very big positive as well. So there's lots of great stuff coming out of that. Today we started our call center work. Finally, we've had a couple of technological delays along the way, but there are somewhere between 5 and 7 guys in Indonesia and Malaysia starting to do call center work for UNICEF today. We are very interested in this as not just a short-term COVID response, but as a long-term part of our new way of looking at our business. We have a large lead list from what we call burnt donors and even cancelled and rejected donors that we're able to go back to and call. What you would say, some very warm, some slightly warm, and some have gone cold. Yeah, but again, opportunities to be able to do conversion calls. We're seeing that in places like France and India. I was on a phone call with Tony's senior GM Yogita last night, looking at India. India is currently doing around about 1,500 sales a day on the phone, off old lead lists. So well, they do a lot more than that in a normal day, but nearly their entire, out of probably 3,500 guys in the field, 1,500 are already on the phone every day at the moment. And they have converted over to call center work pretty quickly. In France, around about 80 guys are on the phone at the moment, working on a list of old data, cancel, reject, but also in France, they're working with their clients, specifically Red Cross, and starting to develop so Instagram call lists, so lead generated lists that are coming in from, either expressions of interest or one-off donations. This conversion opportunity is proving to be extremely good, because getting somebody to do a regular, if you're just talking about fundraising for a second, getting somebody to do a regular give via a social media ask is actually quite hard. Getting somebody to do a one-off is considerably easier. And then getting somebody on the phone to do a conversion of that one-off into a regular is proving the most efficient way to be able to do it. So we're also looking at our sort of opportunities with our own sales teams and our own one-off programs. In Singapore, we do huge amounts of one-offs. In other countries, we don't do very many. So we're now looking at how we're then going to respond to say, hey, maybe we need to do a bigger mix of one-offs and regulars, and then feed the one-offs directly into a call center. And then our call center team, which is also us, can then start to do some conversions. We're now looking at our recruitment work every year. So last year we did 20,000 odd days and 8,000 new ID badges. We are very good at what we do, right? But still, no matter what, we are still going through a large number of people to basically make a gain, but not particularly a huge gain. We may go from 2,000 to 2,500 guys. This year we won't go, obviously we're going to have a reset, but we wanted to go from 2,500 to 3,200. But that still only means retaining, 700 of the people that we go through a very large amount of work to recruit, train, and develop. And externally, we are known around the region as the gold standard in sales recruiting and sales training. That's why everybody wants our people. That's why people set up competitors and don't try and recruit their own people. They try and wait to pick up our guys out of our offices, because it's much easier to wait until SalesWorks has trained them, recruited and trained them, and then pick them up by maybe offering them 10% more money. So I'm quite proud of that. I think we need to worry when companies stop trying to steal our people. But as long as people are constantly trying to steal our guys, that means that we're doing a great job and we're the best in class. Does that make sense? Yeah. So
Yes.
so it doesn't make me angry. It makes me proud
Yes.
that's a strategy that is constantly run by so many companies. Yeah, to say, hey, it's much easier to go and steal SalesWorks guys. They're the best guys anyway. Yeah. And when you look in Singapore, every agency and every environment is constantly filled with guys that we trained. Yeah. So poach from the best. Thank you, Kevin. Exactly. Yes, poach from the best company. So looking at that and saying, okay, well, if we're going to constantly recruit and train people for other people's businesses, maybe we need to start being those other businesses as well. So maybe we need to think about how we're going to position ourselves to be a call center, to be the contract sales company, like the enterprise opportunity, to be the trade marketing company, and to be the guys that basically master the social media, digital sales, etc., and many more things as well. So we're repositioning the business in our own mind at the moment to say, hey, we're the company that does the recruiting and the training of salespeople better than anybody else. But then if you don't work out in face-to-face, and face-to-face doesn't fit you, and honestly, it doesn't fit, obviously, the majority of people. Yeah, it's a small number of guys that come in and are very good. Lots of people come in and do well, but it's a small number of people that fit the profile to stay in face-to-face. So instead of us going through 8,000 people every year, training them, doing a brilliant job, and then letting them just move back into the marketplace, our idea is to basically exercise some more, a greater level of control over that. Yeah, and to say, hey, if you came in and did face-to-face sales, and face-to-face sales for whatever reason is not for you, that's no problems. We have a call center opportunity for you if you'd like to have a look at that. Or we have a trade marketing opportunity if you'd like to have a look at that. Or we have a digital social media, or you can be available to work through our agency with Enterprise Singapore, yeah, if that's something that you'd like to be available and be on call for. And for our owners, it changes the dynamic of doing a huge amount of appointments for potentially, a small level of return, to now basically saying that everybody they recruit and train in their organization has a chance to basically be placed potentially somewhere else. Maybe on a long-term overriding structure, or maybe like a recruiting agency, you get paid a one-time fee to basically deploy a person into another sector. Yeah, because you were the first person to do the initial recruitment and training when they first came into the business. And so those ideas are really starting to get us very excited, because we now look and say, hey, we can look at maybe 2021 and say, our goal is to get from 2,500 guys at the end of this year to 3,250 guys in face-to-face. But at the same time, we're going to put 2,000 guys in call centers. When I say call centers, I mean work from home, virtual call centers, not sitting in a room. So virtual telephony opens up more people that we can recruit potentially because of the time factor. And then another 1,000 or so on contract available to work in different programs. So instead of just having a 1 or 0 binary choice as a business, we start to think, okay, we put square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes, triangular pegs in triangular holes, and we start to look at our recruitment base and put them where we feel that they are going to perform in the best way. And that obviously gets us excited too. I think, coming back to the question of, what do I love about what I do? Well, I love the flexibility of what we do. I love the fact that, we're not a factory that makes one particular product and then needs to retool to make something else. We don't have inventory sitting, and rotting away. It's the people, it's the people on this call at the moment. We are the inventory. So as long as we have got the flexibility as human beings to be able to retool, reimagine, and then repurpose, that means that we've constantly got the opportunity to be able to turn very quickly and say, okay, that worked. Okay, but that didn't work? Let's try something different. That worked, but did it work well enough? Okay, let's take all of those learnings and see if we can't come up with a new and better way to be able to do things. When I got asked a few weeks ago, about the future of face-to-face sales, we're obviously fortunate in this part of the world, and actually, other countries that that are our friends that we don't, that aren't our company anymore, like Australia and the guys in Europe, they're also fortunate that we've got Korea, because that's a question a lot of people are asking, which is face-to-face sales going to be okay, after a large-scale pandemic? Where everybody sort of returns to work and tries to normalize. Will this be acceptable? And so we've got a big advantage in Korea, that we've already got a picture of the fact that, hey, yes, face-to-face sales is going to be fine. Face-to-face sales is going to be back to normal as soon as everything else gets back to normal. And we still have a massive opportunity in that space to grow, in lots of new areas. But on top of that, we're also going to take advantage of all the other areas as well. And instead of being a 3,000 person company, we'll be a 6,000 person company, but just in lots of new and dynamic areas. What we are definitely coming back to as well is what are we going to sell? There is an enormous proliferation of new delivery companies. Was it called Yaya Papaya coming up now in Singapore? Love that name, and a bunch of other ones. We've got 2 or 3 new ones in Korea that have just popped up, more coming up in Malaysia. Home delivery is going to be a massive thing, but it's also going to be a competitive market. And when there is a competitive market, you need someone to cut through the noise. They're all going to be growing their businesses on Instagram and Facebook. But again, like we showed with Uber, when you've got 100 guys in a t-shirt for a delivery company and the other delivery companies don't have it, in Singapore, that's the company that's going to win. So as new companies come out of this, so new companies are being formed out of this, out of this problem, to say, hey, how are we going to take advantage of this, this new way of being? Then we're obviously in a great position to work with one of those businesses in that particular sector and basically go out and make them number one in their field by a long way. So we still have the power, as always, to cut through the noise of social media. Social media is there as always, but we can add on tens of thousands of extra customers on top of that. I think I mentioned as well that that Storytel's goal in Singapore was 20,000 customers a month. And on a call last week, you wouldn't have been all on it, but I mentioned about social media and the point that if it was possible to get 20,000 customers on social media, Storytel will be doing it right now, right? The bottom line is it's not possible. It's possible to get 500, and then as soon as you start getting to 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, the cost of getting to that level becomes pointless. It costs more to get a customer than you're going to get back in the subscription value from putting that customer onto your system. So therefore, there are going to be lots of these kind of opportunities, businesses that roll out, get busy on social media, get to a point, but then they start to plateau because you can't spend endless amounts of money on social media and still maintain your cost per acquisition. Sooner or later, it starts to diminish. And that's where a company like us is a perfect combination of both digital and social media combined together. We're also with UNICEF with programs, and we're working on the Singapore charities as well. Obviously, it's a bit different because Singapore are all domestic charities, whereas in our regional teams, we've got international NGOs. We're working with specific COVID response messaging. So, you know, where's my money going? And the idea now is that your money is going to assist with recovery for everybody, you know, at every level, you know, be it frontline workers or, you know, making sure that, you know, a large amount of money is going or getting rediverted to PPE. You know, these are conversations that are being had with us, or if not, we are having them with our programs as well. And also with our commercial clients as well. Our insurance client, which is a massive business for us in Malaysia. We want to have the same conversation with those guys about retooling some of the messaging to say, hey, if you've been laid off because of COVID, yeah, or if you've had a salary reduction because of COVID, all of these things are now becoming topical and very, very relevant for us as well. So that's so that I think is probably a bit of a sort of a summary in a nutshell about why I love what I do, you know, because it constantly allows, you know, me and you guys to be able to reimagine what happens next without carrying a massive amount of inventory or, you know, or manufacturing or a preset program with us. You know, we can wake up in the morning and go, right, we're going to turn slightly left, we're going to turn hard left, we're going to turn hard right, yeah, and come up with a new way of doing things. And that's extremely motivating. Okay, when we come back, I'm going to show you something I'm really excited about. So we will reconvene, I think, in about 20 minutes. Should we say? If you've got some questions for me, please have a think about those questions. And then we can do just maybe a look, about 5 minutes more for me, and then a little bit more Q&A.
Okay.
Okay. If you're a Singaporean owner, I will see you on a Singapore owners call in 1 minute.
Yes, James,
Okay.
see you there.
All right, guys. See you in a minute.
See you guys back.
Guys, y'all hang on. We will be in the other call, but I'll still leave this call on because I'll use my other device, and the YouTube audience will still be ongoing, you know. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Go have your coffee break.
Okay, thank you, Elroy.
Thank you, Elroy.
Thank you, Elroy.
Thanks, Elroy.
Hello. Hello.
James, I think you're the wrong call.
I'm on the wrong one. Hang on. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I think Adrian just sent you the.
You combine all the score, you never give me daily. You can separate from me, then we will follow that format. 646.
Sorry. All five things.
late and I'm all alone. I had chicken on the plate, but the food was cold. Then I covered up my face so that no one knows. Share for me, give.
Okay, guys. The Singapore owners call ended. I think James will be on soon. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yep, all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
DJ, right? I keep hearing
Yes, yes.
got someone.
Yes.
I think James should be calling me. Jeremy, I think he needs to send him again.
Same link, right?
Yeah, I think he got so many links here, so forget which link.
Oh. Or message hello.
Okay.
Should we be sending out our question first?
But if you send out now, he can't see. Because when he log in, then he will start the chat. Yeah. You all can prepare the question first. You all can type somewhere later, copy paste in. So after this lunch, That's what
Yep.
I'm most excited about.
I'm fasting, you know.
Yeah, you're fasting. Really, man?
I need to lose 2 kg. 2.
Don't talk about it.
Whiskey. Whiskey.
Simon,
Whiskey.
dog whisperer 来了。
It's too early for alcohol. You should ask Whiskey to take a break.
How come now left 85 people?
Don't know.
有人走咩？
应该是有。
Maybe they talk over already.
Ah, really?
As in, I don't know. I think so. Or they take break then come back. I don't know.
Probably.
Hello.
Hi, James.
Hi guys. How are you?
Good.
Good. I can. You can't see me, but I can hear you. So just. Sorry, it's like Central Station at my house at the moment. We've got UPS and FedEx at my front door, and okay. So so what I just wanted to show you guys, I don't know if I can share my screen with you, but we're trying to think about what we do differently when we get back to the field, and I just want to show you what I came up with last week. I talked to you about my smiley face masks. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, you can see.
Yeah. Okay. So we've realized that the one thing missing from smile, eye to eye contact, enthusiasm with a mask on is a smile, right? So we're putting a little. We're putting a sales logo here. I'll just show you my mask.
Looks like Adventure Time.
So these are like you'll see these are the sort of Japanese and Korean ones, you know. So if you like BTS, so I have a BTS logo on mine. Anyone that loves Korean anything? I don't know which guy that is. Do you guys know who that is? My daughter got that for me anyway. So my daughter and I have matching face masks. So that's my BTS I Look Cool mask. So here we want to just put a W here. So there's like our SalesWorks logo here on the corner, and then we just have a big smile on the front. I think we look pretty cool. So we're gonna come up with a few. So we're gonna come up with a few different ones. So we had that one, and we had a few different colors. You can see I'm making them for Shaves to You. Can you see that as well? So we're giving them away with Shaves to You. We're doing them in greens and khakis and everything else. When you buy a trial kit on Shaves to You, you basically get a mask now. And then we thought, okay, well, we need to do something for our guys, because I think it will actually look pretty cool. So you can stand there all day. You can actually stop smiling. There you go. Could be the new way to go. Just you stand there looking pissed off all day, and you still got a smile on your face. So it may be like, so we might be able to use it in the future for like a bad attitude period. So when you're feeling really shit, just put your mask on and carry on. So it could be more than just COVID. We could use it, we could use it as an attitude adjuster as well, all the time. So anyway, why don't you guys ask me some questions, and I think that's probably the easiest thing. Otherwise, I will keep talking and talking and talking. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yep, we can hear you, James.
Okay, guys, now if you have any questions, this is the time to type in.
Nicholas, hi James, what are your goals? Okay, I can't read it. What are my goals? So my goals for the business are to expand it. We're currently a sort of $70 million US company. My goals for the business are in the next 4 years to turn it into a $150 million business. My goals are changing actually, as we speak at the moment. So, the top goal is the same, but a lot of the how we get there has changed dramatically in the last 8 weeks, which has been, amazing to say how many new ways we have of being able to get to the same end result. So that's been pretty exciting. So the top number is pretty much static. The opportunity for more and more people to take shares in the company is a very big thing for me. So we already have now Chiwai, Adrian, Terence, and Vishnu are all shareholders of the company. And now every single year we're going to add on, if you become an organizational head in the business, we're going to basically give more and more shares away of the group companies in Singapore. And there's going to be more and more shares given away each year. My goal is to certainly continue to make more money, but to make more money off a smaller share of the company. So as the business keeps growing, more and more people will be able to get involved, and more people will get a share in it. We are going to be leaders of the subscription economy, which is coming very quickly into Asia. We're going to be at the forefront of this sales recruiting, sales training thing I spoke about before. Opportunities are going to be endless for us over the course of the next couple of years. So I'm more excited now than I have been in a long time. Personal goals are happy kids. So my kids are going to, my son's going to boarding school in September. For me, it's always really been about having time and choice. So, the opportunity for me to be able to wake up and decide what I want to do, where I want to work, who I want to work with has always been really important for me. When I started my business, I couldn't do that. Now I can. And now I get the opportunity. I can go and pick my son up in Scotland and go and travel around with him and, drop him back off at school, fly back home, that opportunity that you get when you start to get financial freedom, I think is really, really important. And that's pretty much it without me going through a big, long shopping list. And not so much material these days, more about time and helping out, try and do a bit more. I've started helping out in a charity, and I'm trying to do a bit more work, every month for free for, helping causes that I really like. Not as exciting as it used to be. It used to be jet planes and Ferraris and stuff like that. Don't do that. It's all getting a little bit more average. That's for you guys now. Anyway, next question. Can someone read them to me? Because otherwise I'm going to have to keep shutting my screen down and.
Can anyone read them to me? Sorry. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go out a message.
Elroy can help to read out.
Hi James. When was the first time that you achieved your goals? And what made you think it was possible?
So the first time I seriously achieved my goals was sort of getting promoted to team leader in my first office in Perth, and then getting promoted to assistant owner. And I'd done the things that you guys now all do, which was you guys have your fish bones, and I called hockey posts. And I wrote my business plan on one side, which was 3 leaders, 5 leaders, for my own office, very sequential, 15 guys, 30 guys, 50 guys. And then all the things that I wanted to do on the right side. And so the first realization of hitting a target was a mobile phone. And you guys heard the story about me buying my first mobile phone, which looked like a 1990s drug dealer. That was like huge, with a big aerial sticking out of it. Like, hello. It was all battery basically, and but I vividly remember going, holy shit, I've got a mobile phone. And the realization of saying something and then being able to go to work and then making it happen was another reason why I love what I do, because you can come up with it, think it, go, yeah, I want it, write it down, go to work, get it. I don't want to oversimplify my life, but that pretty much is how it works. Yeah, think about it, go, yeah, great, and then go to work. Yeah, and we are very blessed that we have a business that allows us to be able to do exactly that. Yeah, that there isn't very much in your way between you saying this is what you want and you going and getting it. Yeah, in other businesses there are lots of other things in your way. Yeah, primarily there's your competition. Yeah, just when you think everything's going great, just when you think it's all going perfectly, someone comes along and drops their prices. Yeah, someone comes along and messes up your model because everything was going great. You were charging $10 for your product or $100 for your product. Yeah, and then someone comes along and charges $50 for it, just like Amazon destroys retail, just like online shopping has destroyed shopping or is going to destroy shopping malls. All of these things are messing with other people's businesses. And a lot of people in those businesses think that's grossly unfair. But it is the way of the world, right? But in our industry, it's a little bit different, so we don't have huge amounts of competition, because what we do is quite hard to break into. Yeah, this is not, very few people can come along with just money and be able to make this work. You have to go in the field to be able to build a team. Have I ever spoken to you guys about that, barrier to entry? Have you ever heard me talk about that before? So if you want to start a business, you need to have a great idea and money, right? But in our business, you need to have, if you want to repeat what we do, you need to have the idea and the money, and you need to go in the field, which most people with money will never do. They'll never go in the field and take the nose and build their own crew. And as long as they don't do that, they'll never be able to compete with us. Because if you did not go in the field, if you did not start the business in the field, you will always, people will just leave the business. People will leave your team and start their own teams. And so we're in a very unusual place where we don't have to deal with a lot of competition. Once you take out direct competition, except from each other, then literally your business plan is just you thinking it and then going and working on how to make it work and getting bigger and better and saying I want 50 guys, and then the only thing in the way of you and 50 guys is you. Okay, so that's another reason why I love what I do all the way through. So mobile phone at team leader, took my girlfriend away for a holiday over Christmas when I became an assistant owner. Brand new car when I became an owner, changed my apartment when I moved from living in a crappy house to a beautiful place on the river. Everything was done, hit this target, do this, hit this target, do this. And then everything else you see in my life is always, there's always a number that's attached to anything else you see me buy or do. Okay. Just to not panic on questions, by the way, I've got till 1:15. And then what I've done each time is if we've got a load of questions, we can do another call where we just do questions only, okay?
Okay, thank you. Then
okay,
for the next Yeah. So for the next question, right, is how should we preempt the new people who just entered the business on our new system to do sales?
On a new system to what, sorry?
To do sales.
New system, I still didn't hear. New system for?
Oh, give me a moment.
Just to clarify, it's because when you mentioned about the call center through doing like sales through the like charities, calling back all the rejects, how do we preempt the new guys?
Oh, I don't think you can do yet because it's not established. So don't start talking about something that we don't overpromise until we know we can deliver. It's a strategy at the moment. It's looking at our efficiency and saying we are grossly inefficient at the moment. The point about that topic was that we train everybody for everybody else. Yeah, we're the company that trains everybody. Yeah, and we want to start to plug in all of the other places that we think sales recruiting, sales training, and sales excellence are relevant, and we want to own that pipeline. Yeah, so that we are, people come to us, they get trained in face-to-face, they either stay in face-to-face or we then deliver them out to places that we think are going to be more relevant for their mannerisms, for their skill set, for their demeanor. Yeah, that's the rethinking of what we're doing. The reason I'm excited about that is because we don't need to work any harder than we do at the moment. Yeah, we do exactly the same amount of work as we currently do today. We've got to do more work in terms of setting these things up, but that's a one-time thing. In terms of how we behave as a company, what we're doing is just basically catching more of the people that we do this huge amount of work with and keeping them, I don't mean keep them not a property, but keeping them in our network rather than putting them out somewhere else. But Joey, the answer to that question is we haven't done it yet. Yeah, and today is day one of call center work. Yeah, so watch this space, and as it starts to come up, you can start to have a different conversation when we recruit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question, James, will be from Nuru. So what do you think will be the new norm in doing sales and recruitment?
So I think the new normal, so not just sales, I think the new normal for us as a business, certainly for what's going to be the next few months, is I think if you are not training or not in any way dealing directly with a new person for that particular day, I think we will Zoom call in the morning. I think we will be distributing territory and territory managing like this. We'll be doing 20, 30, 40-minute Zoom calls every morning, and guys will be going straight out to a territory, working that territory, and then going straight home. That is going to be the way that we run for the time being. If we've got a limited number of accessible spaces in an office, we'll be using those specifically for new guys, so that we can have some face-to-face action with face-to-face interaction with new people, and that will be done, alongside. If you're the leader, that will be done with you and the leader. So if we've got 3 new guys in this week, there'll be 6 people in the meeting room, and we'll be chatting specifically. That will allow, I think the owner to basically put a full conversation into sales for the day, which is this conversation, and then another full conversation into training. But that also may change. There may be a sales conversation that goes on with everyone that's just doing sales or sales developing or sales training today. Yeah, it's not just sales, it's everybody working with each other, developing new people into leadership or leaders onwards or what have you. And then another conversation for guys that are actually, in their first 1 or 2 weeks. That's what I see happening in the short term. My hope is that we're able to make that work. Yeah, because I think, unfortunately, no matter what, we are going to have a situation where we either get a flare up of this or we get another problem. I would love this to not be the case, but we need to be ready. We need to be ready for whatever happens, right? So, we need a system now that's set up so that we can work remotely if we need to. And, putting 60 people in a room, even Terrence's organization specifically, MBMR has 180 people in it. Vote Key, 60, 70, 80 people, or what the number is at the moment. But if anybody gets a virus in there, we have a problem, right? Yeah, it's, you know, it's everybody crowded together. It's hot. It's, you know, people standing right next to each other, shoulder to shoulder. So those kind of environments are not going to be available to us for some time to come.
Okay, thank you, James. Okay, so the next question will be why, so it brings you back to the beginning. So why would you choose this industry instead of others? What are the advantages that you saw initially?
Look, I didn't, you know, when I started, I didn't have anything to measure it against. I just came in, you know, liked the people, liked the atmosphere, didn't take it seriously, wasn't going to do it as a career, made a decision to come back and take a year off university and come and do it. So I did not come into this business with a grand plan at all. You know, I was a student. I came in as a backpacker, and then decided to give it another year, as much because I wanted to stay in Australia for a year, as much as I wanted to do this. It was probably a 50-50. It was a 50-50 decision. You know, in terms of the business being good, it was there, and me wanting to stay traveling and away from the UK for a little bit longer. So I didn't make all those kind of very sort of weighty calculations when I first came in. As far as why, you know, our business is far from perfect. You know, as I often you know explain. But you know, I have strived over the years. There were lots of major challenges with it as far as I was concerned when I first brought it to Asia, and I have strived to try and improve what I could of the original model and to make it as you know, I suppose accessible, as straightforward. You know, like every innovation that we've come up with, from hours to branching out to, you know, everything that we do, you know, structurally to the way that we behave as a team. You know, those have all been about enhancing what was already a great business, but trying to make it into something that's even better. My goal is to potentially get a valuation on the company. Doesn't mean that we're going to sell it, but to possibly partner with a much bigger advertising agency, you know, in the future, so that we actually know exactly how much our company is worth. Therefore, when you have shares in the company, you know how much your shares are worth. You know, it's a common thing to want to understand our value as a business, so that you know when you know, if you put 300 people on your team and you know that our 3,000 person team is valued at, you know, $100 million US, then you know how big your business is worth. And so getting a valuation of some sort on this company is part of, you know, mine, Adrian, Terence, GY, Vishnu, Martin, you know, that's the board, basically. That's our prime directive at the moment, to make sure that we look for key strategic partnerships. Doesn't mean we're going anywhere. It just means that we're looking at how to take a great business and turn it into a really fantastic one. Like I said before through the rest of the call, it's the flexibility, it's the ability to be able to, you know, respond, you know, very quickly to challenges. It's the ability to be able to recover. You know, I mean, even we've lost all the headcount in Korea, but we know we'll sort of get back pretty quickly. You know, so that's also really encouraging as well. You know, where you do lose headcount, we've obviously made mistakes in our first market to go back to work, and now we're learning from those, but we're also building back pretty quickly as well, and hopefully building back with better people. So time and time again, there are great reasons, you know, why this business, you know, continues to blow me away all the time in its flexibility and its way that we can sort of, you know, create a system to be able to handle problems. I keep saying all the time that it's not easy, and no one will ever say that what we do is easy, but it is very, very, very simple. Yeah, and simple ultimately works. Like I said before, if you decided that you want, you know, you want this, this, and this, if you put your head down and work hard, then you can get that. Yeah, there's very, very little that's gonna come in your way, and that's why I like it.
Okay, thank you, James. Okay, so guys, okay, so due to the constraint of time, okay, so we will just pick 1 or 2 questions, okay, and then the remaining time, if we see, we can rearrange with James again, okay. So James, so we will just go through with 1 or 2 more questions. Okay. So the next question is, do you always have an entrepreneurial mindset, and if not, what helped you to cultivate that?
So So my parents always thought I had an entrepreneur mindset. My mum said I was completely unemployable, which I thought was an insult. When I was a teenager, she said I was like I thought she just meant I was a bit of a bum. But I don't like being told what to do. So the idea of having a boss, I've never had a boss. I had a boss at Pizza Hut, that was it. So I've never had a boss. I've never had someone that I had to answer to. Chris Niarchos a little bit, but still very much not so, because he understood very quickly that I didn't like being given orders. So if you're in that kind of, so if you have that kind of mentality, if you like to be your own boss, you like to be in charge, I think lots of people would like that to be the case, but something has to happen with that. And that means that you need to be able to work as hard or harder when you're not being watched as you would do otherwise. Yeah. And it's that category of person that ultimately makes the perfect entrepreneur. Yeah. It's somebody that is, that absolutely wants to be in charge of themselves and their own business. I've often said that I would, even if I lost $100,000 in a year or $1 million in a year, I would never, ever consider making a salary or having a boss, because I know that if I work hard, I can turn that around and make $1 million the next year. So I would never, ever give up that opportunity. And some people are forced to. Some people run out of room. I fortunately have never had that happen to me. So, close, but never had to do it. But it would absolutely kill me to be a salaried member of staff. But again, on the flip side, everybody says, hey, that sounds great. But if you are the kind of person who, if you can, you'll stay in bed. If you see a challenge in front of you, if you've got an opportunity to not deal with it, you don't deal with it. If that's you, then again, this type of environment won't suit you either. Yeah, you've got to be someone that goes out and works on their own towards getting a result for yourself. Yeah, so that you've got your own pride. Yeah, and I think that's really, really important. I got my father had a sporting club, so a sports club. He was a professional snooker player. So just to give you an idea, I got caught on I used to steal the diary. I didn't steal the diaries. There were some diaries. So I used to take some diaries off the desk, and I used to take them to school, and I used to sell them for 50p. And so I got caught selling my dad's club diaries. And that was when I was 8 years old. I don't think I've ever told that story before, actually. My mum told that story the other day. I think I'd forgotten about it. So I got dragged to the headmaster's office at 8 years old for making £8 in the playground selling diaries. So yes, you could say I was entrepreneurial at a young age, probably.
Okay, thank you. So one of the questions is we would like to know also, how did the business evolve? Okay, and how do you actually handle the changes? Like you went through like 3 different finance ups and downs, major ones. So how do you actually adopt and change?
What was the first part of the question?
Can you share how did the business evolve?
Yeah, so the business has evolved from being originally, I mean, I was never in it, but the original business was clearance, which was take a product from China, import it into a country, cut out the distributor, cut out the wholesaler, the distributor, the wholesaler, the retailer, and go out and sell it directly to people at a discounted price, but with enough margin. So guys used to walk around with a bag on their back and sell calculators and fluffy pens, fluffy toys and stuff like that. And that was the original business model. So advertising, which is Domino's Pizza, was the second version. And that was a residential program in America and Australia from the original company we came from. And that was specifically, we fill empty seats was the strap line. So we basically fill up your restaurant, we fill up your stadium, we fill up your gym, we fill up your car care service center with customers who didn't know who you were and then are going to be loyal to you for the next 6 months. Then the next iteration, but that was where we sold a card, and the customer had something to basically go and redeem. The next iteration was then working for utilities, so in deregulation like telecom companies and electricity companies, where markets were opening up, people were aware they had a choice, but had been using a service for their entire lives and didn't know anything better. So you would then go to the door and say, hey, this is it. I'm going to take the work away from you. Fill in the form. It doesn't cost you any money. In fact, we're giving you a discount. And that was the third evolution of the program. From that third evolution, we then moved across into a wide range of other areas like credit cards, telco, telco generally. And that was when we sort of developed what we call today the big five, actually the big six, which is charities, telecommunications, credit, insurance, energy, and security. So security is probably like the smaller one, so like 5.5. But the first five, as evidenced in Malaysia and Singapore, the first five we are actively involved in. Insurance, not in Singapore, but in Malaysia. Energy, not in Malaysia, but in Singapore. And then the other three you guys know well. So charities, telco, and marketing credit cards. So those have been the sort of the staple programs that we have worked on for now many years, and always seem to be reasonably evergreen. They go through cycles, but that is a sort of a picture today of really what we do. And Singapore is probably the best spectrum, the best microcosm of all of those products working side by side. We're about to restart credit, obviously. So between telco, credit, energy, charities, you can see it all happening in one place. The next evolution of the business is the subscription economy, and working on water filters, working on coffee, working on every other type of product. Shaves to You was and is still a great business, although we couldn't figure out how to make a direct sale function in terms of the cost. But these types of subscription programs are rolling out now all over the place. Subscription cinemas in the UK. Imagine subscription cinemas in Singapore. Oh my God. Have you been on that campaign? Subscription to GB cinemas in Singapore, they're like a 40-piece average or something. So stuff like that. So stuff like that is very exciting. So Odeon, all the cinemas in the UK are now on subscription. So you can go Monday to Friday for like £20 a month. McDonald's is on subscription. Domino's, before the close down Domino's Pizza, we were right in the middle of a conversation about doing a test in Singapore to go out and do a subscription only program for $10, $20 or $30 a month for Domino's Pizza in Singapore. So that's died a little bit in the middle of this, but as soon as we start to normalize, we will be testing Domino's in Singapore on a subscription only product. So these kind of things are very exciting. And then I just mentioned to you the most recent evolutions of the business are what we just discussed, which is maybe we need to expand out of what we do and capture all of the great people that we train.
Okay, so through the years, you also have a fair share of crisis, and different. We've made the business evolve and change. So how do you actually manage with the change?
Well, I think anyone that doesn't manage change well will go out of business pretty quickly. If you are not ready to evolve, and you can see this happening a lot. You can see guys that open restaurants that refuse to change their menus and keep going with the same old formula over and over again. You can see lots of businesses that that haven't adapted and changed, from Kodak to Nokia to the list goes on and on and on. Businesses that you thought would be around forever that all of a sudden just disappeared in a puff of smoke. And so being either a change agent or being someone that's ready to change and to adapt is extremely important. With change, nearly always comes hard work, and so it's a twofer, right? So not only have you got to be prepared to make a change, but you've also got to be prepared to work harder than you would normally do during that process. No one I've ever seen has changed their business model and work less. They change their business, work harder, and then it goes like, and then it sort of settles down back to where it was before. And each time I've had to do that, it's been an extremely large amount of work, just as this has been. This has been, the last 8 weeks. Although it's sitting in my own house on the phone, it's 11 hours a day of calls and crisis management and stuff like that. I'll be really honest with you. I actually bizarrely get bored when things are going well. So as strange as that might sound, when things are going great, I can sometimes just go, great. So to be really honest with you, when things are challenging, when when they are challenging and not necessarily business ending, if you're in a business ending scenario, then I think that's, that's the most horrendous level of stress. If you're in a, you've figured out, which is what we've done, we figured out how to make sure that we don't go out of business, which is great. Thanks to sacrifices, thanks to, everything that's going on in the sales teams, everything that's gone on in head offices where people are salary sacrificed. Because of all of those things, we are no longer looking at the end of the company. We just are looking at how to basically make the business better. And those things get me out of bed in the morning because I love strategy. So I love thinking about how to, I think specifically, when we say work hard through the changes, but especially when we can make the same amount of work that we do every day start to massively improve a result, that is an extremely exciting thing for me. If we can all output the same amount of energy every year and but double the size of the company, then that's extremely motivating. And that's where I love using my brain on strategic thinking. I've got to 1:15, guys, if you want to ask a couple more. Okay, thank you. So last one. So if you'd like to know, like, so what is the most important value to you? Say that again. The most important value to you. Out of our company values, it's accountability. Out of my own world of, what's the most important attribute you need to have, it's discipline. So if you've been on a call with me recently, you'll have heard the same thing. So out of our seven core values, which is passion and enthusiasm, integrity, communication, challenge, celebration, self-improvement, and accountability. Accountability is the most important one for me. Yeah, values are supposed to mean different things to different people. So, I don't say that that's the most important value for everybody in my company. The point is that we have values and you can identify, hopefully, with all 7 of them, but one may resonate more with the other one. But accountability for me is doing what you say, saying what you do, being an example that people can, aspire to be like. Making sure that you're not saying, do what I say, but instead saying, do what I do. Yeah, it's not one rule for me and something else for you. If I want you to do it, then I'll show you how to do it first. Yeah, and that's, that sort of flows all the way through our company. Yeah, you're not allowed to tell someone to do something that you haven't done yourself before or you've not experienced yourself, which is why we're so tight as a team and why this is very hard to replicate. Yeah, because as I said at the start, the barrier to entry for rich people who want to try and recreate our business is they won't go in the field. They won't build their own first 5 leaders. And if you don't do that bit, then you can't build an organization because you're always the fraud. Yeah, you're always the guy that shortcut and just talks, but never actually went in the field and did it yourself. And it's that real glue in our system all the way through that it's like a contract. Yeah, I'll listen to you because you did it. You'll listen to him because he did it. She'll listen to, you'll listen to her because she did it. Yeah, and we all have that relationship with each other where we've all done it. Yeah, we've all done the work. Yeah, we've all been in the field. We've all taken negatives. We've all trained guys, lost guys, trained guys, lost guys. We're all together in one great endeavor. And that I think is really, really important. So that's part of accountability. It goes right the way through the organization. Like, I can't stand people being late. I hate people being late. I think it's the rudest thing that you can possibly do. Yeah, just in case we're ever having a meeting, just so you know. Yeah, so being on time, respecting other people's time, yeah, being accountable to yourself and to others is very, very important. Discipline is, thanks, Bernadette. So discipline is getting up when you don't want to, working when you don't feel like it, going out for dinner with you guys when you'd rather go home. That's what discipline is. Discipline is doing the shit you don't want to do. Yeah, because you know you have to. Yeah, if you do what you feel like doing every day, you will not be successful. 100 million%, you will not be successful. because I feel totally different all the time. Sometimes I feel like doing stuff, sometimes I don't feel like doing it, but it doesn't change my behavior. You don't find James, there's James Monday, there's James Tuesday, there's James Wednesday. There's just James, right? And you'll find that with all of your leadership team, the ones that you look up to, yeah, it's, you get what's on the tin over and over and over again. But I have plenty of emotions. I have family problems, personal problems, business problems, but you don't get to see them. And I am pretty disciplined in the way I behave. So that's really, really important if you want to build a big business around you. Maybe one more.
Okay. Okay, James. Okay, so can you share with us, like, so after this this situation is over, what should be the course of actions that we should be working on?
So when we get back to work, and I've said this a few times already, again, we're looking towards the triple bump. Yeah. So be prepared to work harder when you go back out. You're gonna have to do more. You're gonna have to do more, get more prep, more organized. You may find it's actually less hours, yeah, because we're going to do more Zoom calls. So there may be an upside there. But be prepared to go in the field and, work harder to see more people, take a shorter break if you need to do. Do not just walk out and go, I am working exactly the same as I did before, and the result would better be the same. Yeah, that's the wrong way to approach it. The idea is that you need to go out, set a target, and work as hard as you need to be able to hit that target. If it's more, then just embrace the fact that that's going to be it for the time being. Yeah, it's going to be a different environment when we go back to work. So just get yourself ready for that and be prepared for it. That's what you're, if you're here for the long term. I'm talking to you if you're building a team and you want to grow your business. If you're just here to do sales, you may go, no, that's now too hard. It's like 20% harder than it used to be. I'm not interested. I'm going to go and do something else. And that's up to you too. Yeah, but it's, depending on what your mindset is, if you're here to build a team, you take advantage of a harder environment. Yeah, always, if you're team building, you take advantage of a harder environment to train better people. Yeah, you add the second part on, which is that you're going to be able to recruit more better quality people. So the two parts of your recruiting, more people, better quality people. There are going to be thousands of people that used to work at an airline that are going to be roaming around in Singapore, from AirAsia to Jet, to Jetstar, possibly Singapore Airlines as well. There are going to be loads of them. There are going to be hotels massively diminished in staff. There are going to be restaurants that no longer have the capability of being able to keep waiters, waitresses. So there are going to be many, many, many frontline, very capable people that used to be fully employed that are now not. These were the people that would take you a month or 2 months to recruit in the past. They're now out there and available and ready to start work. So you need to be ready for that, yeah, so that you are prepped. You've got your high standard, hardworking ethic, yeah, you've got your readiness to train, yeah, as soon as we get back at it, yeah, and then an understanding that over time things are going to get better, yeah, environments are going to get easier, yeah, everything will relax, and as things relax, you've now got a higher standard, which all of these new people have been trained on, yeah, you've got a great new team, yeah, and then things get easier, which will give you an extra bump of maybe 20% more in sales in a couple of months' time, just because you went out and worked harder today. If that makes sense, that's what we call the triple bump. Yeah, and that's how we always come back from a recession, or we've never had this before. But this is a deep and hard cut into the tourism sector and into the hospitality sector, into F&B, which are all the kinds of people, front-facing, front-of-house staff, that work well in our types of environments. So when you come across them, especially if you come across someone that's had a team before, anyone that's looked after 6, 7, or 8 people on their own team before, those are the kind of people who are possibly instant owners, not instant owners, but instant owner mentality, where it's just a question of add some more recruiting and you've got a few owners on your team. So it's about getting mentally ready, not sitting around and waiting for it as well. Again, where else can you work harder? You can work harder on PRing, maybe even now. Yeah, if you know people are losing their jobs, start PRing now before they go and find something else. Yeah, so where else, are there Facebook pages of people that are, ex-airline staff or hotel staff? start researching, start, trying to access the places where there are going to be challenges in people being able to maintain their jobs. And remember, job losses are not, there's been job losses through this, but unfortunately there are going to be numerous job losses when we get back to it as well. So this is not a short-term thing, because there will be hotels and restaurants that are hanging on for dear life, ready to reopen. And then when they reopen, they will assess what's happening. And then if the business is not coming back in, which maybe it won't do, and the tourists are not coming back, then they'll then have to make some further cuts as well. So it's not just a one-off now, get ahead of the curve, but then as you keep on going, it's going to, sorry, guys. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry, please. So this is going to be, so this is going to be a thing that everyone needs to be focused on now.
Okay, thank you, James.
Okay, great. All right, guys, I'll leave you to it. Jeremy, if you want to organize another call for just carrying on the Q&As, you can do it on either tomorrow afternoon or Friday, or possibly even into next week if that gives everyone a bit more time.
Okay. We are live with you. Appreciate your time, James. Thank you so much.
Will do. Thanks, everybody. Great to see so many people.
James.
Thank you,
James.
James.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, James.
James.
Thank you, James.